Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer. Today we're here for yet another Civilization 6 Leader Spotlight, where today we'll be taking a look at Harald Hardrada of Norway. So getting right into things, Harald's first ability is Thunderbolt of the North, which allows coastal raiding for all of his naval melee units. And in addition to that, he also gets plus 50% production towards all naval melee units. So Thunderbolt of the North is okay. It's really not great. The coastal raiding for all naval melee units I don't find to be very useful at all. That just means that you can, like pillage any tile improvements that are along the coast, and I believe it allows you to attack units that are along the coast. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm pretty sure. So that it's not really that great. It's very situational. That's actually going to make a difference in like anything really. Plus 50% production towards all naval melee units is pretty good. It really does suck though that it's only towards naval melee units, so you can't spam out frigates or quadremes or something of the sort faster. And if you're trying to push out both at the same time, your melee ones are going to finish a lot faster than your ranged ones, so you're going to have to end up waiting for the ranged ones anyways if you're going to attack. So Thunderbolt in the North, it's just, I don't know, it's okay. Maybe a little bit below average. His second ability is known as Gnar, and it makes it so that units gain the ability to enter ocean tiles after researching shipbuilding. And in addition, naval melee units can heal in neutral territory, and and all of his units ignore the additional movement costs from embarking and disembarking. So Gnar, once again, is it's just not really that good. Gaining the ability to enter ocean tiles, like a little bit earlier, it's okay. I mean, it allows you to explore a lot more, but like you can't really go and use that to like gain anything except for maybe some era score. Like you're not gonna be going and be like, oh, let me go, conquer this like enemy civilization on a totally different continent from me on turn 30 or something like that, because you're just not gonna have the ability to do that. So Gnar is just kind of the fact that your naval melee units can heal in neutral territory is good, but once again, it's only naval melee, it's not naval ranged, so you can't, heal your ranged units if they got hit by like a city center or something like that. You're gonna have to get them to friendly territory first, which once again sucks because it only applies to your melee units, so that sucks. And the ignoring additional movement costs from embarking and disembarking, I mean, it's okay. It's maybe gonna get you somewhere like one turn faster, but aside from that, it's not gonna make too much of a difference. As far as Harald's unique unit is concerned, we have the Viking Longship, which is a special unit that replaces the galley. It has a melee strength of 30, which is up 5 from the galley. It has a movement of 3, which is the same as the galley, and it has a production cost of 65, which is the same as the galley. And as far as its special ability is concerned, its movement rises to 4 when in coastal waters, so really it just gets plus 1 additional movement in coastal waters. So the Viking Longship, it's much like a lot of other things, it's kind of okay. The fact that it replaces the galley means you're gonna get it like really early, and you're only gonna be able to make very much use of it if you happen to have a lot of enemy cities that are like settled on the coast, because situationally, the Viking Longship can be actually pretty good, because if there's a lot of like cities on the coast, you can take them in, and 30 melee strength, like very early on against a city that doesn't have walls is gonna hurt pretty bad to that city. So you can spam out a few of these, especially since you get plus 50% production towards them because they are naval melee, and you can use them to take a few cities. The only problem is if there's not a lot of coastal cities that are being settled by the AI, then your Viking Longship is, well, it's just terrible. It really is not good at all. So situationally, the Viking Longship can be okay, but most of the time it's only going to get you maybe 1 or 2 extra cities. Harald happens to be one of those special civilizations in Civ 6 that has 2 unique units, so his second unique unit is known as the Berserker, and it doesn't replace anything, it's totally unique, but for the sake of things, I'm going to be comparing it to the Swordsman, because that's a similar unit that you get at a similar time. So the Berserker has a melee strength of 40, which is plus 4 from the Swordsman, it has a movement of 2, which is the same as the Swordsman, a production cost of 180, which is plus 90 from the Swordsman, so double the Swordsman, and a maintenance cost of 3 gold per turn, which is 1 higher than the Swordsman. In addition to that, it has a whole host of special abilities. So the Berserker uses 1 less movement to pillage, it gains plus 2 movement when starting in enemy territory, it gains plus 7 combat strength when attacking, and it loses 7 combat strength when defending, and it requires no resources. So overall, the Berserker I don't think it's very good at all. It's just, it doesn't compare to like some of the other units. It is a little bit better than a Swordsman, but at the same time, it's still worse than a Knight. So comparing it to the Swordsman, it does get the plus 4 combat strength, But also, you know, if you're getting attacked, then it's going to lose 7 combat strength, so you have to use them very carefully because they'll die pretty fast if you get attacked. They do get the plus 7 combat strength when attacking, though, so if you are super aggressive with them and you can kill everything before it can hit you, then, you know, that is a little bit of a bonus, but they're just super squishy units, and for what they're intended to do, it's not really good that they're squishy because they're meant to, you know, like run around and pillage and all that stuff. But honestly, you would just be straight up better off just using knights. I mean, the only other thing is that they don't require any strategic resources, so I mean, you can get them every game. But knights are pretty much just a straight up better unit because they actually have 48 melee strength, which even with the plus 7 when attacking is still going to be, you know, 1 higher than the Berserker, so you might as well just use knights because they have higher movement, you know, they have higher combat strength. I don't know about their maintenance cost. I think they have the same maintenance cost. So the Berserker, it's not necessarily strictly a bad unit, but comparatively to like the Knight or even to the Swordsman, it just has so many weaknesses that really just make it not that good. And as far as Harald's unique building is concerned, we have the Stave Church, which replaces the temple. It provides plus 4 faith, 1 great profit point per turn, 1 citizen slot, and 1 relic slot, which are all the same as the temple. And the only difference from the temple is that it provides plus 1 production to all tiles with a sea resource in the city. So the Stave Church is, I don't know, it's just, it's once again not that good. It doesn't really provide much over the temple, except for, you know, the plus 1 production to all tiles with a sea resource in the city, which can situationally be like, okay, that will maybe get you like 3 or 4 more production in a city, but 3 or 4 more production in a city is really like the same as building like 1 additional mine. So it's just really not that great, and like I don't necessarily like to build too many holy sites with Norway, or I mean I do because that's kind of what you're supposed to do with them, but it's really, that just doesn't work out that well, and you can't, like, you can try for the religion domination game, but it still just struggles so hard. So the Stave Church, really just terrible. It's not going to give you much of an impact on anything in any game, because at most you're going to get like 3 or 4 extra production, and that's just not that impactful. And now with all of this in mind, it's time to talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of Harald and the Norwegians in Civilization 6. So the first strength is that they can produce naval melee units very quickly. Especially in the early game, whenever you have your Viking longship, you know, you're going to be getting that plus 50% production towards all naval melee units, and then you can also run the policy card that gives you an additional plus 100% production, so you can, like, just push out galleys in, like, 2 or 3 turns, like, you know, maybe even shorter than that, depending on how many, like, mines you have in the city, or just if it's a high production city or whatever. So in the early game, you can produce naval melee units very quickly, and that does kind of carry over to the late game as well, that you can produce a lot of naval melee units, and it can be quite strong. You can get quite a big navy. Unfortunately, though, for Harald, that's about the extent of his strengths. So for the weaknesses, both of his unique units are pretty bad. The Viking longship, it situationally can be okay. If your opponent happens to settle a lot of coastal cities like very early on in the game, then the Viking longship can be okay, but aside from that, it's just not going to be good. And the Berserker it's an okay unit, but it's way too squishy for what it's intended to do, you know, be super aggressive, and they'll just melt, like, if they're getting attacked by city centers or anything like that, because they lose 7 combat strength when they're defending, so they'll have less combat strength than even swordsmen. And if you have knights, then knights are still going to have more combat strength than them, like, when attacking. So they're just really, like, there's no point to the Berserker, honestly. So both the unique units are bad, which is a major weakness of Norway. The other major weakness is that they are really reliant on opponents settling coastal cities, strictly because they get so many bonuses to naval melee units, and the only thing that naval melee units can do is attack stuff that is directly on the coast. So if your opponents aren't settling, like, coastal cities, then you're not going to be able to utilize very many of your bonuses at all, which is really going to suck. So, you know, and sometimes if you're even playing in multiplayer, then if your opponents are smart, then they'll just settle like 1 tile away from the coast, like along a river or something like that, and they just won't settle on the coast. So it's like, that's such a big weakness of Harald, is that if your opponents don't settle coastal cities, you're kind of just screwed. And the last weakness is that, well, he really just lacks bonuses, and he's horridly non-versatile. He doesn't really have very many bonuses to anything, really. He gets bonuses to production of naval melee units, and that's about it. He does get a few extra production from his Stave Church, but aside from that, he really just gets no bonuses in anything. And he's intended to go for like the domination game, and that's about all that he can even attempt, because he's just so far behind in everything else. From his lack of bonuses that he can't really even do anything else. So yeah, a lot of weaknesses for Harald and not too many strengths. And now it is that time to give Harald and the Norwegians their tier ranking. So if you're new to the series, what I do is I give each civilization a tier ranking in each of the 4 victory types, so domination, science, culture, and religion. And I give them an overall ranking as well that just kind of compares them to the other leaders in the game and takes into account other things such as, you know, their spawn bias, their versatility, and such things like that. So let's go ahead and rank Harald. So domination's up first, and I think he deserves a B. Kind of. I really think he deserves like maybe a C+, but I don't tend to, you know, give C pluses or minuses or anything like that. So I'm gonna give him a B just for the sake of being nice to him. He does have 2 unique units, neither of which are very good, but they could situationally be okay. And the other thing is, it's super hard to go naval domination with the addition of loyalty, because loyalty makes it so that if you capture a city that's like nowhere near your cities, it's just gonna immediately flip to free anyways, unless you can take a lot of other cities nearby. So that really sucks. It really hurts Harald as well. And for that reason, I think he is deserving of a B. Science is up next, and I think he deserves a C. Well, he just gets no bonuses at all. There's really not much of a reason to go for science as well, so he gets a C. Culture, more of the same. He gets a C just because he gets no bonuses, and you really wouldn't even bother going for culture unless you're just like, yeah, I think I'll go for that because he's terrible at everything else pretty much. So for that reason, he gets a C. And religion, I once again think that he gets a C just because, well, once again, he gets absolutely no bonuses. He does have the special Stave Church, however, it gives no bonuses to faith whatsoever, so that really doesn't incentivize playing a religious game at all. And, you know, you maybe could go for, like, the religion and domination combo, but even so, it wouldn't be that great because his ability to do domination even is not super fantastic. So for that reason, I think he deserves a C in religion. And as far as his overall ranking is concerned, well, I guess you could probably all guess what I'm about to give him, but he definitely deserves an F. He's just terrible. He doesn't have very many bonuses to anything, and the bonuses he does have are purely situational, because, you know, if your opponents aren't settling coastal cities, then, well, that sucks for you. You pretty much have no bonuses to anything because you're not going to be able to use naval melee units, so like 90% of your strategy as Harald just goes straight down the drain, and you're just some guy that has no bonuses towards anything. So he's maybe even worse than Tamar, I think. He's down there with Tamar. I personally think he's worse. Some other people would disagree with that, but he's definitely one of the worst leaders in the game, and I don't know why people would even bother playing him, because he's just that bad. So thank you everyone for watching. I've been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.